This is Justin AMZN on Monday, November 5th, 2018. And we were really flat yesterday, Friday, excuse me. And this morning pre-market, we came down into these lows again and started to bounce. And looking for it to continue back up, at least get back up here to 1665, and then then maybe roll over or break out, whatever. But it couldn't even do that. In the first 5 minutes, it sold off hard. So this is a little bit of an S curve here, and we're selling off. Took out Friday's low, uh, pretty quickly bounced off of the after hours from Thursday. And then continued on lower into our 1617 price, bounced there nicely, and then rolled back down, came down right here into our 1607 line, which hit that to the penny, broke through there, and actually took out the low from Thursday as well, and then started to recover a little bit. Bounced around right in this whole area for most of the day. Then you get some really small candles in here. The squeeze forming again, chopping around, and then starts to get above the 21. Now it got above the 21 here, and then immediately came back to it. So we're kind of looking like that again, getting above the 21 and a really small candle, and then we're actually bouncing off of it. Come back to it. So now we're back up at the 1617 price, and the squeeze is actually triggered. But 1617, that was our support here that became resistance this morning, and now we're retesting it as resistance, and it could roll over, even though the squeeze is looking a little more bullish. Well, it actually breaks out, pulls back to around 1620, retesting this. We get some higher lows, lower highs, and then a breakout, retest here, and a bounce, retest, and then kind of chops around through here. Actually does do another little bit of a retest, a little closer to 1617, doesn't quite get there. The low is 1619.05. But after this, almost around 15% move back up. Makes sense. We have a little bit more of a pullback. That's what we got today. Nice. You can see it from right here. Nice triangle, breakout, and really we're back above these four lines, which we broke out of. It looks really similar to a triangle here, a triangle here. It's just a question of, are we going to stay above that, or do we have more to the downside to move? My vote is to the downside some more. But today was a really nice retracement back into some of this stuff that we broke out of pretty quickly, especially back into these this upper range of these four lines. We really stayed above the middle there, the middle being right around 1600. That's been a really nice round number. And we did actually get below it slightly today, which would be a great place to buy off of 1600. And again, just being a nice round number. But we did have these two lines ahead, and you can easily see it chopped around on the 1607 price for quite a while, and then kind of use the 1617 price as a really clear pivot point until it broke through it here. So if you look at the some of the options, you would have really had to been getting in at the open with puts playing that bearish at open very aggressively, and that still would have been okay, knowing with what happened on Friday and seeing it open right below all these all this area where you're actually trapping people. So that would have been buying puts at open. The puts, so the 1550 put had a really tight range into the close on Friday. And so the open didn't actually gap too far, but was trapping some people who were selling here if they were going short. But again, you would have had to been buying, like a range like 850 by 750 and hope to get filled. Didn't really get much of a retracement. It retraced to some of the highs in here, but not even down to the penny. The high here was 1150, and the low here was 12. So there's a little bit of a gap there. Checking with the unmute. Sorry, having an issue with the audio. It says it's muted or unmuted now. Hopefully that worked. So there were the 1550. It had some candles that were more than $1 range. So those would have been actually harder to trade on the on the pullback, on the bearish move. Could have come into a level like this. This was when it pulled in almost to the 1617. So that was at 930. So at 930, it was right here and almost rejecting. I mean, this stair step, you could have been looking for a continuation lower, but I don't know if you would have been buying at the low there. But the next time you had the opportunity right here, the price of the option at 10 o'clock was pretty much the same. So you could have been buying, could have been looking for a setup at the low at 15, could have been buying 15 by 14. But again, what would have told you set that $1 lower at 14? Other than looking for this same level, either 1550 by 1450 or 15 by 14, something like that, and then taking that for 2, 3, even 4 hour would have worked on that kind of trade within a pretty short amount of time as it rolled back down to another stair step and then moved on back up. And then later in the day, as this is starting to break out here and go bullish, this range of stair step candles here where the squeeze is forming could have been a place to buy. So that's in the last probably 12:30 to 1 o'clock would have been a good opportunity to get in there. So if we look at the calls through there, so 12:30 to 1 o'clock, they're really range bound. So you could have even done a speculative trade, getting in at 6 and a stop down at 5, and that would have been your 1 hour risk, and that actually would have done really well. You could have been exiting at a pivot, like $8, so 6 up to 8, that's 2 hour, or held out a little longer up to 9, or even to 10 for 4 hour. And so just again, that's speculating that it could be breaking out of this triangle here with a squeeze, would have maybe had you in it a little bit longer because you did probably get 10 bars here or so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 bars. So that's, you could have been exiting anywhere in here before the 12 bars were up. That's the puts. Here's the calls. Probably most likely have exited around 9, from buying at 6, a target at 9, and based on how this had moved with the squeeze, that would have been a good trade. But again, that's 3R. That would have been a great trade to have on a Monday where it went sideways for the majority of the day. We're talking from 9 o'clock to past 1 o'clock. It really, 4 hours of the day, it was just sideways, just chopping around. It would have been really hard to get a directional trade, directional at the open, directional early afternoon or mid-afternoon. But just tracking with some of these lines to see how it's moving, bouncing between them, gave some setups that would have been a great opportunity to get into today. So hope that makes sense. And for tomorrow, let's see. I haven't even looked at the daily to see what's going on. Yeah, this being a kind of a little bit of a bearish retest, I'd be looking for a little bit more move down lower, trapping some of the buyers who were getting in today. The ones who are buying this low or buying this low again, if we can get below them, we should continue on a little bit lower and form a really large double bottom, possibly even take out that low. That's where my target is, back into the low 1400s. But I mean, it could turn around and gap up and open. If it were to open above the 21, I mean, that'd be trapping a lot of bears. So I don't know if it'll do something like that. We've got volume trailing off here as it's moved up and starting to roll over. So all of this has been on really low volume, which to me just suggests, people are being a little more cautious, less people trading than we're, trading this on the way down. So the volume, I don't know about average here, but, we're back into kind of average or kind of the lower range of volume here. Just again, suggesting that we're kind of back to some indecision, and some waiting. So maybe big money is not getting in or out quite yet. So we'll continue to track this and see how things move. And hope this is helpful to just identify some of these levels and see what's going on with Amazon. This is just Amazon. Thanks.